Hello everyone and welcome to SuttonsDaze. Today I thought I would pose the question, what are you prepared to give up? Because it's quite possible it's going to be coming down the pike. What is starting this conversation, and this is going to turn in a little bit into it, but what started this conversation is an article where I caught UK supermarkets are rationing fruits and vegetables, right? So as you read through it, they give a few different reasons for it. I will put a screenshot here, but also put a link down below. The UK's biggest supermarket confirmed that it had temporarily capped the number of packs of tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers to 3 per customer. And from what I'm reading in other articles, that's if you can even find them. If they even have them available, you're limited, right? And Morrison, who is, I guess, one of the big stores, told CNN that it imposed a cap of 2 packs per customer on tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and lettuce. Aldi also put a 3 per person on all of those. The suppliers are proactively working with supermarkets. That's what we're being told. We are being told that there is an issue for up to 4 weeks. I'm not sure where 4 weeks came from, but we're good. The UK's second largest food retailer said it had no plans to ration the sale of fruits and vegetables, but pretty much everybody over there is, except for them. The rationing is another knock for British shoppers already grappling with record grocery prices, which have inflamed the worst cost of living crisis in decades. So in the 4 weeks to January 22nd, food price inflation hit 16.7% in the UK. That is the highest level since the data company started tracking it back in 2008. The more we face shortages, the more it will drive food inflation. And that's just the way it works all the way around, right? So some people are saying, well, isn't it Brexit? Isn't that what's causing it? And they're saying, that while that has probably a small factor in it, that is not the biggest thing. It's actually a hotter than average weather in Spain and Morocco last fall, combined with a cold snap over the last 2 weeks that hit the production. So again, I'm wondering how that equates to a 4-week, recovery period. But the poor harvests are problematic for UK retailers, reliant as they are on imports to fill their stocks this time of year. I'll come back to that, okay? So give it about 2 weeks and they'll be back. Okay, fine. They expect it to only last a couple weeks. High input costs have contributed to the shortage of fruit and vegetables, as well as reduced production across the farming sector more broadly. Now check this. Labor shortages and soaring energy prices are hitting the poultry industry, already reeling from avian flu, as well as horticultural businesses and pig farms. So the price of natural gas, a key input for nitrogen-based fertilizers, shot up following the invasion of the Ukraine last year. Though gas prices have fallen back in recent weeks, they are still triple the historical average. Okay. Then, across Europe, supplies of tomatoes are reportedly tight, and growers continue to grapple with higher fertilizer, energy, and labor costs. King noted that the United Kingdom used to grow vast quantities, kind of like we did, right, of tomatoes and cucumbers year-round in enormous greenhouses in Kent County in southern England. But the government had not provided enough support to growers to pay their energy bill this winter. We're uniquely exposed to imports this time of year. Direct subsidy payments to UK farmers from the European Union are also being phased out, which has increased uncertainty for farmers. So I have to come, what are you prepared to give up? This just brought on so many different questions to ask. I have mentioned before, I'm kind of a seasonal eater. I just naturally am that way. It's not something I do intentionally. I just am. I will eat asparagus when it's in season. That's pretty much the only time you'll see me touch it. There are certain blueberries I will eat when they're in season, freeze what I can, but I don't buy blueberries from the store for the most part because they're tasteless. I don't like strawberries from the store because they're tasteless. Tomatoes, they are truly tasteless. So there's that window of opportunity to have that fresh fruit and fresh vegetable available to you in your area. Now I know, okay, Lisa, not everybody lives, in rural environment and can grow their own, you can grow more than you think you can. So I'm not going to debate that part. But if you're not willing to grow it and you cannot buy it, you don't put it up and preserve it, and you rely 100% on imports from wherever, okay? And due to all of the crazy weather factors that are hitting us, due to all of the things that are happening in the world today, a lot of this stuff becomes unavailable. A remarkable amount of it becomes unavailable. Now, I am in a kind of a unique position. I get that. I'm surrounded by ag. So, one way or another, I can get most everything that I want and or need locally. Not everything, but most of it. And that's part of the reason I was doing the sourdough experiment, right? I want to learn how to do certain things if I can't get certain things. And because I do rely a lot on the internet for any shopping that I do, it's a concern of mine, right? When do you eat citrus? I eat most of the citrus that I eat is in the winter when it's in season, when they've harvested it and it's in season. When do I eat apples? I eat apples in the fall, because that is when they're in season. It's something you need to think about. Lettuce. You can grow lettuce in your own house. You guys have told me this. I got more comments on that. You can grow lettuce. You don't need an aero garden. You can put it in a box in your window, and you can grow enough lettuce and spinach to provide yourself, some kind of additional salad type items. Can you preserve everything the way that you can? Can you preserve a tomato so that it's fresh out of the garden, delicious, when it is 10 feet of snow outside? Probably not. But you're not going to get a delicious tomato from the grocery store either. So what are you willing to give up? We have spent generations now, 3 or 4. It depends on your age and your location, but 3 or 4 generations now where they have been breeding out the knowledge of how to take care of ourselves. We don't do home ec in school, okay? We don't do real food. They've been pushing processed food since the 50s now. So that's oh my gosh, that's 70 years. Okay, so, they've been pushing processed food so that most of the food that our diabetic-ridden country intakes is processed. It's not even real food. By learning to eat seasonally, by learning to eat whole foods, real foods, it might take a little time. It might. It really doesn't cost that much more. It really doesn't. You can find ways to make it stretch, okay? But if you have a choice between a chicken breast or a Banquet pot pie, I hope that you're going, and nothing against Banquet. I have a true love of Banquet pot pies that I do not eat anymore, okay? But those chemicals, all that stuff that they put in our food, what they call our food, is not food. And so we've got higher rates of diabetes. We've got higher rates of childhood obesity. We've got higher rates of heart conditions. We've got, we have all the medical conditions, cancer, you name it, all the medical conditions you can think of because of the amount of this stuff that we're eating. And I know I've mentioned this before in a previous video, but if you can't get it because they can't import it, and by importing it, they're picking it too early, it's not ripe enough, it doesn't have that great flavor, can you eat more seasonally? Can you find a way to eat more seasonally? Is it a hardship to only be allowed to buy 2 bell peppers when you go to the grocery store? I guess if you have to have fresh bell peppers, you might find another way to put them up, whether it's dehydrating, whether it's freeze-dried, whether it's canning, and find a way to get them when they're in season at a better price and their better availability, and be able to put them up that way. Now, I know, Thrive is not available in the UK, and, I don't know if there's a comparable thing in the UK, but I know that it's more difficult to do some of these things in a different country, and I don't envy them this. But when I'm sitting here in the US and I'm looking at the different obstacles that are being thrown up around the world, what are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up Starbucks? Are you willing to give up that daily salad when it's got 10 inches of snow outside? Because really, it's not fresh. Really, it's traveled a very far, way to get to you. and because probably it's not available. Restaurants, I cannot imagine being in the restaurant business right now and having to deal with this. I cannot imagine what they are going through. I read another article where the restaurants in the UK are completely revamping their menus because they can't get the produce, because apparently quite a few of them shop at the local grocery stores. I don't know how true that is. That's just what I read. But, you can't get your hands on these things. You have to revamp your entire menu or raise those prices exponentially. What are you willing to give up? What are you prepared to give up when that food crisis hits closer to home? Now, for any of our friends here, any of our dazers that are in the UK, I would love to hear what you're experiencing there, as opposed to the articles that I've been reading online for the last few days. Pantry Pals had a discussion about it last night, and I just can't let it go, because we need to be more in line with what our regions produce. We need to be more in line with how we preserve our food so that it's real food, and so that we have what we need without having to import it thousands and thousands of miles, right? If we ratchet back and focus on our local farmers, if we ratchet back and focus on our United States farmers, then we will have a better chance of eating good quality food. If it comes in a box, if it has more than 10 ingredients, and if you can't pronounce every single one the way that you can pronounce the days of the week, then you're probably eating something that is going against what your body wants. And it's something that you seriously need to take a look at, because we're all going to have to take a look. I hate to jump on this bandwagon. I don't fearmonger. I don't like to fearmonger, okay? But what I'm saying is, I don't think we're going to be in a good place in the next couple of years. And so we need to be prepared to either find a way to stock up our pantries with the real food, or we need to be able to produce some of it ourselves. Now, I know if you're in an apartment, you don't have space. There's no, you can't grow a year's worth of food, but there are ways to find it. Okay? So if you can't produce it and you can't purchase it fresh, find another way to be able to stock it up so that you have it. Be prepared to give up some of those favorites. We have become very entitled with what we're owed as a society, because they have bred this out of us. They have bred this out of us for generations now. We should be eating the processed foods. The processed foods are just fine. It's convenient, it's fast, it's easy. Okay, fine, I get it. They have bred out our ability to, we have generations of people that have no idea how to cook. And I'm not saying everybody needs to be a 5-star cook. Honey, I'm not a 5-star cook, okay? But I can throw together a meal that's not going to kill us. So we need to take a close look at how we can better prepare ourselves, so that when it comes time to say, what are you prepared to give up, that you don't think twice about going, I can grow my own lettuce. I have peppers that I have dehydrated, or I've canned, or I have freeze-dried. I have everything that I need, because I don't need that this time of year. Nobody owes it to us. Nobody owes it to us. Nobody owes you anything. So you need to take a serious close look at what you are prepared to give up when this hits closer to home, because it's going to. The drought on the West Coast is not over, okay? The bad weather conditions are not over. Whether you call it climate change, the grand solar minimum, whatever the case may be, it's not over, and it's not going to be over for a while. So there's going to be a lot of changes in what's available to us when it's available to us, whether or not it is available to us, because the growing season isn't as long as it used to be. We have to be creative and find new ways to fill those gaps, fill those holes. Give us what we want sometimes, but give us what we need all the time. And that, I think, is the really big focus. It's not about what you want, it's about what you need. And you need good, healthy, sustainable food without having to worry about it being limited or rationed. Because I don't know, rationing, it has the potential to come back hard. They're already, I mean, you guys have seen it for the last few years. They're limiting us on what we can purchase at the grocery store any given day, depending on what's going on. In the UK, it's amped up a whole new level because now they are limiting you on what you can purchase fruit and vegetable wise because it's not available. They don't have it to sell to you. And they'll sell it to you on a limited time, limited quantity if they even have it. That's kind of the key. So I hope you take a look at this and think really hard about that salad that you're having with dinner tonight. Because I know with the January Pantry Challenge, a lot of people are like, we have to have fresh fruits and veggies. So what if they weren't available to you? Then what would you do? Throw it in the comment section down below. I'd be interested to hear how you would handle that. How you would handle that problem. Because that's one of the things with the January Pantry Challenge that a lot of people say is that we'll do this, but we're going to keep getting fresh fruits and vegetables. What if that's not an option? I'd love to have this discussion with you. Throw your comments in the comment section down below. Until next time, everybody, be safe.